Happy New Year from everyone here at Tolmiros. Hope you all had a great holiday season. It was busy year end for us as usual, but we're excited for what 2025 is going to bring. 2024 markets strong overall. Global equities up over 17%, as cited by the All Country World Index. U.S. large cap stocks solid across the board. Dow, S&P, NASDAQ up 12, 24, 30% roughly respectively. We also saw international markets lagging a little bit compared to the U.S. So developed international roughly 5 to 6% depending on what index you're looking at. Emerging markets had a nice year though. China had a little bit of a bounce back. Emerging markets up over 8% on the whole, and saw a little bit of a broadening out from large cap to small cap at times this year. Small caps finishing up just shy of 11%, 10.8 on the year.
Yeah. And obviously we had kind of an election that was something that we talked about throughout the year since our last time together. And, wanted to talk a little bit about what that means. Obviously we have a little bit more clarity today. Markets have a little bit more clarity today than they did, in October. And what we are seeing markets react to as it relates to that. Number one, the current tax code that we are under. For years, we've been under this expectation that it might sunset at the end of 2025. Now the potential has reemerged that may be continued. So that, again, that consistency markets tend to like. Also, there's the potential for a lessening burden of regulation on certain sectors, certain areas of markets, which go straight to the bottom line in some cases. So that can help earnings. On the other side, markets are kind of anxious about inflation. The Federal Reserve has done a lot of work around that, but we've seen, even going back to October, we've started to see markets get a little bit anxious about that inflation, partly because of what the Federal Reserve is telling us about the data, and also the incoming administration has communicated some policies that could be inflationary in nature, or at least that's what the markets are reading into that. So they're looking at interest rates as potentially flattening.
Yeah, and you could kind of tell the Fed had a little bit of different expectations that were set in their last meeting. The bond market certainly reacted. So while bonds popped a little bit in Q3, they pulled back in the fourth quarter. Bonds finished down a couple of percent, on the year.
Yeah. So what else is new in 2025? Inflation is continuing to. This has been the multi-year conversation. We keep coming back and having conversations about what might move the markets most. And so, again, interest rate policy will probably continue to be a headline story for markets here in 2025. So we'll be keeping an eye on that, and as well as any policies that emerge from a Republican presidency and Congress. Yeah, and honestly, we've had a couple also of planning-based events that happen. I already mentioned earlier about the tax rates and how that might influence some planning strategies. If we have a continuation of the current tax structure, there may be a little bit of a longer opportunity to do things like Roth conversions, which had become popular based on on the tax changes. So in addition to that, we had kind of a big policy that impacted the state of Ohio uniquely, with the windfall elimination provision for those who have public pensions.
Yeah, 90% of public employees, actually a little bit over 90% here in the state of Ohio, are subject to the windfall elimination provision and government pension offset, which are effectively reductions to one's Social Security benefits directly, or their spousal or survivorship Social Security benefits. And the House and the Senate, believe it or not, the folks in D.C. did something bipartisan. And as we film, President Biden is expected to sign, this bill into law, repealing the weapon GPO. And based on what we've seen in the bill, we do believe that these benefits will be paid retroactively starting from January of 2024. So something to keep an eye out for, and not a bad way to bring in the new year if that was something that you were impacted by.